He at first his eyes were squinted when I walked into the room, and I thought they were squinted because he was in pain. But when I got to his side, he grabbed my hands and began to weep. And he told me he thought he was hallucinating. And then he said, "I love you, Daddy. Daddy, I love you."
Yeah, it must be so hard to see him in this condition.
Yes. Then his next question was, why did they shoot me so many times? And I said, baby, they weren't supposed to shoot you at all.
I mean, of course, you don't have an answer to that, and none of us have been given an answer to that. And I mean,
so we spread a lot of love in there, and he knows where I live, and he just said, "I didn't think you were going to be able to come," and I just reassured him I'm not leaving.
And he didn't think you would be able to come because you live in a different state?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that your first priority, of course, okay, right. We're having lots of, bear with us, everyone. There's technical issues, of course, as there always are when you're doing this remotely. But Mr. Blake, you're back with us. I know your first priority, of course, is his well-being and his life. Were you able to ask him any questions about what happened that day leading up to the shooting?
No, because I didn't want to him to get emotional because he was in so much pain. It was not long following one of his, he's had several surgeries, so it wasn't long after his surgery. So I didn't feel, I didn't want to know anything right then, any question. All I needed to know is that he saw his father and that he kept touching my arm, and I leaned as close to him as I could. He rubbed my face and just kept his hand on my face and kept telling me, you know, how much he loved me. And we talked about him being paralyzed from the waist down, and he wanted a dog, and I said, "We'll get you a dog, baby."
Oh my gosh, Mr. Blake, it says so much about your family.
But one thing, the thing that bothered me the most is that my child is, well, there's so many things that bother me, but when I walked into that room, you know, he's paralyzed from the waist down. Why do they have that cold steel on my son's ankle? He can't get up. He couldn't get up if he wanted to. So what was, that's a little overkill to have him shackled to the bed. That just makes no sense to me.
So his leg, you're saying, his leg is shackled to the hospital bed?
Correct.
Did the hospital explain why?
Well, I guess he's in custody. I don't know.
Does he have an, did they say that there was a warrant or something?
I don't know. You have to ask Ben. I don't know.
Yeah. Mr. Crump, what's the explanation for that?
There's no explanation for it, Allison. It follows the pattern of deliberate indifference and excessive force. I mean, for a man to be paralyzed after you shot him 7 times in the back, and then you're gonna handcuff and shackle his leg. I mean, it is such an outrageous thing already that he was shot 7 times. This adds insult to injury, and it is the reason we're marching in Washington, D.C. today, because we're saying to America, we cannot have 2 justice systems, Allison, one for Black America and one for white America. And that's what we saw in Kenosha, Wisconsin, with the shooting of Jacob Blake Jr., and then with the young white supremacist who had an assault weapon and shot 2 protesters to death. and then walked down the street, Allison, with the assault weapon hanging from his neck, and no police officer that he walked by, no National Guard that he walked by, shot him in the back. Nobody killed him. And so it is the tale of two videos that perfectly highlight the frustration of African Americans and the NBA players and the major league players and everybody who wants equal justice in this society.
Mr. Crump, none of it makes sense. I mean, this is part of why we're so happy to have you here to see